What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Chopper channel, coming to you with another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. MLB, hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me in this video, goes a long way for you. That way you become a present of our great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Well, it'll be profitable content if we can get Tampa Bay. Nico Horner hits a leadoff home run as I'm watching this in the corner. That kind of put a damper on my afternoon here as we're getting going, evening as we're getting into that window of games. So there you go. That's going to be the one money line that ended up on my card. I can't remember a 15-game slate where that was the only money line on a card, but ended up on that. Atlanta -1.5. The under of 8.5 for Miami and San Diego, which is not looking very good here as the bases are loaded. 4-2. Oh, they ended up getting out of it. All right, 4-2 going into the seventh. Bases were loaded, no outs there in a 4-2 baseball game. So we keep the hope alive there in that one. And then, well, a ton of props. Ended up on a ton of props. They were jumping in the Odd Chopper tool, which you can sign up for below. They jumped in my modeling as far as projection-based stuff that we have going here at Stochastic. You can check out that in the video description box below. So many great offerings that we have there. Take a look. It's in our book, Reading Rainbow. BetMGM, they're going to be part of our program right now here. And producer, yeah, no, it is what it just happens, okay? The genius just shows up from time to time. But BetMGM, they're along for the ride yet again here this week. And, well, you can get that premium betting card that I put out every single Sunday through Friday. Yeah, Saturday, my one day off because I don't want to get divorced. BetMGM, that is great stuff that you want to be checking out. So get my betting card for 2 months completely free when you sign up over there and put a bet down. But that bet doesn't matter. It could be $10, it could be $100, it could be up to $1,000. If it hits right out of the get-go, yeah, you get that money. If it doesn't, you get the money back in bonus bets. What a great deal that they have going for your initial bet, up to $1,000 at BetMGM. So take advantage of that. Hey, did a pretty good job of just throwing that out here from the onset. Maybe we don't have to. We'll just breeze through this 15-gamer. Just wanted to throw that out here for you, only if you're 21 and over. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, now I don't have to see my stupid picture of me going, or whatever the hell. It's not good. Hopefully the picks are good. Hopefully we can get Kirilloff to go yard here today at some point in time. Waiting for that home run alert. Just one time. Bag alert. Nature bag alert. That's a Taco Bell commercial. You know what? We're done dilly-dallying. We have 14 games to get to in the MLB streets. Producer Jacob, let's get to the picks. We got the Rangers. It's not as fun as saying Raiders. It's a good bit. Going up against the Tigers here. The warmest game in baseball tomorrow, 85 degrees, going down in Detroit. What is going on? Why has the weather been so muted? I've had a couple of people ask me, Eric, why don't you talk about the weather? You used to always talk about the weather last year. There hasn't been a whole hell of a lot to talk about. We haven't had any heat waves coming through on any of these games. It's going to be 81 in Chicago tomorrow. That's something to maybe pay attention to because, well, 81 humidity. It's warmer than the average day there in Chicago. But now we're almost to June here, and it's just weird to me. Either teams are playing indoors or you get Oakland where it's 66 in the afternoon still. You don't even get any kind of warm atmosphere there. The Giants are on the slate, 64 degrees there. Boston, 75 degrees. I mean, just going through some of these games, we have not had those warm weather offensive bonanzas to really target at all this season. I mean, teams are still putting up runs. Look at the board today. We've got 9-6 game in this very same matchup, Texas and Detroit. Now this one, you got Dane Dunning on the mound going up against what's assumed to be Joey Wentz. We don't have a line out yet, but Joey Wentz is the most likely person to start. That's what AJ Hinch threw out there in the old blurb. So just throwing it out there. He's a lefty and he's terrible. 7.81 ERA, 1.66 whip. I don't even want to give him the significance of going through his pitch mix. It's not great. He has a 491 expected slugging, just a 17.9% K rate. Yeah, Texas should slaughter him. Should take him out to pasture. It will be bad. It will be bad. That was kind of a mean way of saying that. I can be nice. No, I really can't. That's about as bad as it gets. He's that bad. Like bottom 1% of guys you'd want pitching for your baseball team. Now I just talked him into 10 Ks and a career high. So there you go. Dane Dunning on the other side. Dunning. 15.4% K rate. That hasn't been good. A little bit down, but he's still been successful. That's the nicest thing you can say about Dane Dunning because, well, he's out there to win baseball games, and, well, a 1.67 ERA, that's going to win you lots of baseball games. A sub-1 whip. I think he's just pitching to contact a lot more this season. And the righty, he's never had crazy velocity, sitting there at 91. but like that's up from last year. What? So dumb. Anyway, Dane Dunning, Texas money line. That's going to be the lean until more information becomes known. Would like to get something, a little bit of coin in on this game, but I'm pretty sure this ends up being Mr. Wentz out there. Go back from whence you came, sir. I'm done. I need to never talk again. We've got Texas money line. Just let me know if you want to bet it. Hit me up at Eric Lindquist, and I'll let you know. Maybe a run line makes more sense. 2 White Sox hosting the Angels here. We have Lance Lynn and Jaime Barria. Beautiful. Jaime Barria pitching for the Los Angeles Angels, in case you couldn't tell. Don't even know where that came from in my brain. It's a magical place. But Jaime Barria, even though he'll be starting for this one, I doubt he's long for the game. He pitched on the 27th by my calculations. 1, 2, 3, carry the 1 4 days ago, as of this game being played on the 31st. Look at that. That's how math works. Pitched only 15 pitches, so maybe he can go a little bit further. He got up to 64 pitches against Boston in the start before that. But again, I don't know what their game plan is for him. He's been a reliever. He's a good reliever so far this season. 0.93 whip, 1.55 ERA. Surface numbers, yay. They actually make sense with what I'm looking at in terms of StatCast data. So there you go. Go ahead, fire up Mr. Well, I don't know how you would fire it up. I really don't know what I'm getting at, mainly because the White Sox, Lance Lynn is on the mound for them, and I need to know who that long reliever is going to be here for the Angels. And I do think this is actually a decent spot where you could see Lance Lynn rack up some strikeouts. Last outing was really strange to me. 1 earned run against Detroit, 5 Ks, 10 ground balls. Now, the K rate has kind of been the thing that's been consistent for Lance Lynn, 25.7% this season. Last year, it came off of the IL, did not look good from the get-go, 24.2%. That was lower than previous seasons. But at the same time that the K rate's gotten back to where it should be, the expected ERA is at a career worst level, 4.93 for the 36-year-old. Zoink Scoob, don't really know what to make of it yet. I find myself just leaning towards the White Sox money line. Don't read anything into it. It's simply because Barria, anybody who could be coming in behind him, I don't really like the options. And, well, I need to know how many pitches he could get projected for. There's a lot of question marks hovering around Los Angeles here. And, well, we know they're better against lefties in general, although they've been all right against righties. Still think Lance Lynn has a decent enough shot to be successful here. So lots to be determined. It'll be a White Sox money line lean, but I repeat, do not read anything into that. A lot could change here based on that long reliever for the Angels. Oh God, I'm going to be sweating balls here on this Tampa Bay game. That is for darn sure here. We are top of the 3rd. Still 1-0 here. Guy on second. Don't strand him on second here, please. Can we get some runs across? I would like runs. Well, I don't want runs here in this spot on Wednesday. Tampa Bay, Chicago. We got Zach Eflin on the mound here for the old Tampa Bay Rays. I don't know why I'm stalling here. It's because my spreadsheet isn't loading. I do know why I'm stalling. You don't. But Justin Steele is assumed to be the starter here for the Cubs, even though it's not officially in stone at some books, and that's what's kind of throwing me off right now. Justin Steele has to be the starter, though, in this spot, and, well, 2.77 ERA, 1.11 whip. We've been backing him a lot. And Zach Eflin's made a lot of great changes himself with the 273 xWOBA, the former Philly, really hitting his stride here with Tampa. That seems to be the name of the year. This is the year of our Lord Tampa Bay Rays, so he's a big 6'6" arm who doesn't really throw for velocity anyway. We have a lot of those guys hovering around the big leagues right now, whether it's Bailey Ober, Zach Eflin, these tall dudes who just kind of use their height to give better angles, to be able to mix up pitches, and really don't have the velocity in their arm, and probably won't ever find it. But I love the 2.9 expected ERA that we have here. Last season, 3.27 expected ERA, a lot better than people might hope, and, well, he's not even 30 years old yet. So it's a pretty good arm for Tampa Bay to just walk themselves into. It's almost like they know what they're doing, just throwing it out there. However, we are looking at a decent hitting environment here. Talked a little bit about the weather here. It's over 80 degrees in Chicago with some humidity. I'm going to be paying attention to the wind. The wind factors in Wrigley bring it up every single time. You want to be double checking it. It can change morning of, and then, well, this would be a difficult ask, but under of 9 is projecting out really, really nicely as long as that wind is not at everybody's back. So, going to be paying attention to this one closely, but no matter what, half unit already on it, could be adding more to it based on what I'm looking at for the weather report. It's bordering lock territory. Hey, there we go. We got our first play of the game going, so we might as well just, move on from this one because I don't have a play in this. Cleveland, Baltimore. We got Shane Bieber on the mound. Bieber, he's very good at baseball. Assumed to be Austin Voth going here for the Baltimore Orioles. Now, whether or not that ends up being the case, there is no line. That's why you see NA going on over here. It is an interesting situation. But Shane Bieber, he's kind of got an interesting thing going on because, well, the former Cy Young used to just mow dudes down. And even in the playoffs last season, we saw some of the strikeout potential and his ability to just go out and win baseball games for Cleveland. They were competitive in a lot of spots where they shouldn't have been because, well, you had the Shane Bieber combination. And, well, he's a cheat code when he's on. 16.8% K rate this season with a 4.89 expected ERA despite a 3.04 ERA. That is just like old man pitching baseball, but the kid's only 28. UC Santa Barbara arm. Yeah, pitched with my buddy Cameron. Shout out my buddy Cameron. If you're watching this, just wanted to give you some love. But either way, looking at Cleveland money line, they'd be the lean here in this spot if it's going to be Austin Voth, mainly because I don't like anything that really Austin Voth or these other Orioles pitchers not named Wells have to offer in the mix. I mean, we just saw Grayson Rodriguez sent back down. That was pretty instant. He flashed some signs from time to time, but as good as this bullpen is with Felix Bautista, with some of these other Givens, a lot of pieces that I like in that Orioles bullpen, very, very difficult to back these starters. And Austin Voth has been okay with a 34.2% hard hit percentage, 303 xWOBA, and, well, very limited sample size, 79 batted ball events here. Not up there with other starters like Dean Kremer, who's got 186 batted ball events, 204 for Kyle Gibson pitching right now, so on and so forth. Just saying, it's a tough ask. I think Cleveland money line, they're interesting if that number ends up being not as egregious as what we're expecting. But again, Baltimore lineup, do you feel like screwing with it with a guy who's pitching to contact right now? I probably don't either. And the 49% hard hit percentage just probably going to shy me away from this game entirely. Oh, would you look at that? Me targeting Oakland, another day ending in Y. It's not like the books don't know that they're terrible, but we got James Caprillion taking on Jared Schuster. He's bad too. Ooh. They're both terrible. Both have walk rates over 13%. Both have K rates under 21.5%. Both have xWOBAs 350 or higher. This is a pretty gross spot if we're going to be dead honest. And, well, the other part that makes me a little bit uncomfortable, Jared Schuster's a lefty. Oakland, pretty surprising numbers that you're looking at for them when it comes to the old lefties. Yeah, they've been pretty darn good this season with Brent Rooker. Ramon Laureano, that's his preferred side. And, well, Oakland, just a lot better than you'd think with a 109 WRC plus against that handedness. So it's a pretty disgusting spot. And yet, my friends, I think Atlanta just smashes because you have 6.50 for the XFIP. I bring it up just about every single program. The worst bullpen by far in baseball, and now one of the worst starters in baseball in Caprillion for an afternoon game there in Oakland. Yes, it's only 66, but a lot of the park factors and a lot of the, well, chilly weather you get when it gets sub 60 degrees at night out there, they're mitigated playing an afternoon baseball game here. And that just makes me want to back this lineup of Ronald Acuna, of like all the dudes, Ozzy Albies, and of course, Sean Murphy, who is going to be, does he have revenge in his heart? I hope he does on Tuesday night. I hope he does on Wednesday afternoon as well. Keep that revenge going, young man. Anyway, I'm putting a parlay together for you. Yeah, you heard me. It's weird times over here in the streets, but Atlanta, -1.5. That's what's jumping out for me, but there's value to be attaching it to the over of 9 here. So not something that I tend to do all that often. As long as you can find that number of 9, don't be playing any 9.5s. I don't want to see tickets and celebrations of people not taking the best lines available, but look at Caesars, look at DraftKings Sportsbook, look at Bet365 if you have access to that. Bet those places, not the 9.5s at FanDuel and other places as it stands right now. Yes, the over of 9, that's what I want attached to Atlanta -1.5. In that same vein, I want to start prioritizing odd shopping on this program. Not just Odd Shopper, which you can sign up for in the video description box below. It's a process of finding a market-based approach that works for you, and that is having access to many, many books. As many books as you can possibly get access to, whether it's Bet365, whether it's BetMGM, whether it's DraftKings, FanDuel. Doesn't matter where you're signed up. I want you finding the best lines so that you can get the right lines at places and games like this. We're talking Pitt, we're talking San Francisco, and I don't think I've ever done this on the program before, but it just bared repeating because there's some discrepancy going on in this baseball game. It's not just one line fits all. We do have best available that's listed on this side of the screen here for you. I think I was pointing to the right side of the screen. I personally can't see the screen, so I'm not gonna talk about the screen anymore. But the line opened at 7.5, juiced -125 at DraftKings Sportsbook, but opened at 8.5 over at BetRivers, at a couple of other places. We've got 8s that sit at Caesars, at FanDuel. The FanDuel one's juiced very, very low at -104 on the under of 8 there. But that's where I'm kind of speaking to why it matters to shop for these odds, because you run into a spot like this, an afternoon game with Mitch Keller on the mound going up against Alex Wood here and the San Francisco Giants. And I think you want to get access to the under of this 8.5 in any way, shape, or form that you possibly can. Mitch Keller, he's been Cy Young type good, and I think if you just, he'd have to go beat up Spencer Strider probably. Like they could just fight to the death or do something of that nature. We have a 3.02 ERA, 1.02 whip here for Mitch Keller so far this season, and he's coming off of an absolute shelling in Seattle that came from absolutely nowhere. 6 earned runs, so that inflated some stuff, and he went back to being like old Mitch Keller. But this new Mitch Keller, he's the fancy new model. We like what he's doing with this cutter four-seamer combination. This sinker ball also seems to be working very, very nicely, and a 45.4% ground ball rate. It's actually down from last season's numbers, and yet he continues to just get these fly ball outs over and over again. Soft contact, crazy amount of increase in his hard hit percentage here. So 47.5% was his mark in 2021. He's down to 28.7% this season, and he's just been overly effective with a couple of these pitches to left-handed bats, specifically that cutter and four-seam fastball. He is just chucking it in on them routinely and then mixing it up with a curveball that he's throwing almost exclusively to left-handed bats. Only 22 pitches thrown to right-handed bats with that pitch. So just throwing it out there, Mitch Keller has become kind of that dude. Do I expect it to continue to this level? Probably not. But there's no doubt that he's made positive improvements to his arsenal. And Alex Wood, once upon a time, we saw him with the Dodgers, and the Dodgers generally do smart things. And well, they prioritized Alex Wood, then he gets paid, and he goes to San Francisco. 215 expected batting average for the lefty. And well, last year, 4 expected ERA, sitting right there again, 4.02 expected ERA. He is who we thought he was. So while he's got a 3.51 ERA, I think that comes up a tiny bit, but he gets this matchup going up against Pittsburgh. And in the same way that, we talk about some of these spots where it's like, well, are they good against righties or lefties, or how are we paying attention to it? Pittsburgh is a team that smashes the cover off of some of these guys. We're talking specifically some righties that can do some work. So you got to avoid some of them. But just a 104 WRC plus, decent strikeout rate, 20.6% against these left-handed pitching so far this season. And yet Alex Wood, I think, has the right kind of arsenal to go out and succeed against these Pirates. He also gets the fantastic ballpark as Mitch Keller, and that's where I think 8.5 is just a broken line. We have 7.5s that exist. I talked about that around the industry. Yes, they're juiced pretty heavily, but a full run, when it's moving somewhere like that, and odds and books can't come to some kind of a aggregate view, I think there's a lot of opportunity. So it is a like button play on under of 8, but it is a lock play on the under of 8.5. I hope you can see why that difference exists. So if the only book you have access to is, FanDuel Sportsbook, great. You're going to be taking the under of 8, and it's the best available line amongst those numbers at -104. But if you have access to a BetRivers or BetMGM or some of these other books, you have access to 8.5. You should be locking that under at standard juice, or even -115 would be happy to be firing that full unit up at that number as well. So hey, a little bit of a talking through the bet, but I think it really, really mattered today. Also matters when there is positive home run regression that is in store for one guy, and I think we might be getting a very long number on him when we probably shouldn't. It's the Washington Nationals and the Los Angeles Dodgers, and yes, We talked about the Dodgers. Do I think the Dodgers should be massive favorites here, even with Noah Syndergaard on the mound? Probably. Again, they're very, very good at baseball, and well, you get Washington, any starter there. It's Patrick Corbin Day. Happy Patrick Corbin Day to all who celebrate. He's had some flashes throughout this season. I think it's a little bit of window dressing, but he has gone at least 6 innings now in 5 straight games. He's been at least decent, where he's only gotten shelled in the most recent one against Kansas City, had only given up 2 earned runs in every single one of those previous 4 starts to that. So seeing some positive signs, but he's actually not the guy, and actually not even the team that I'm going to be targeting here. Noah Syndergaard's just been that bad, in my opinion. I think he's been just downright atrocious. A 295 expected batting average, a 474 expected slugging, just a 16.1% K rate. I'm not sure why the Dodgers thought that they could go out and fix him or do some things with him. They obviously found something interesting about him with his Angels days and tried to recapture some of the Mets glory that he had once upon a time. It's just not there in the arm. I don't think Noah Syndergaard should be in the major leagues going forward with a 6.28 ERA, 1.35 whip, inability to hold runners with new rules in baseball. It's an unfortunate fact. It happens. You never know when it's going to happen, but that fall off is there. But we might as well make some money here and not a sob story. That'd be great. And Corey Dickerson has been added to this outfield, and well, he's been okay with a 533 expected slugging. But I think Joey Meneses is due for some major positive regression. He has a 46.2% hard hit percentage this season, and yet just a 357 expected slugging. Do you know how crazy that is? That is downright bonkers. And Joey Meneses, if you look at him, 294 on the season, 718 OPS. The average is obviously really good there, but just 2 home runs on the season, despite a 361, 398, 482 slash line with 18 ribbies over his last 20 games. So what are we doing here? You're right. Joey Meneses is going to hit his 3rd home run of the season at a big number for us against Noah Syndergaard in his very first at bat. You can write that one in stone, my friends. My favorite home run play of all people. I can't believe I'm even saying this, but Joey Meneses, 46.2% hard hit percentage. There's going to be some expected slugging that shows up, so I hope it shows up at Dodger Stadium in that afternoon game there. Only 66, 67 degrees in LA for tomorrow. Still, I think this is a great spot to get some lefty or righty power against Noah Syndergaard, and right on right in this situation, Joey Meneses going to be going yard. Okay, I lied. BetMGM, they're back here. This is going to be super quick. 2 free months of premium Discord. Come hang out with myself, with Ben Raza, with Eitan Shander, Isaiah Suarez. So many great analysts in that premium Discord giving you our bets day in, day out, every sport you could possibly imagine. If you've got questions, we're going to have answers about why we do what we do. We have the results to back it up. I got my 1099s in order, made sure the tax man was all happy, did all of the great things you're supposed to do year in, year out. But that's because I have this great community here at Odd Chopper, and we just find ways to get winning tickets put together. And yes, sometimes it's this crazy home run that we've been on where I can't even explain how good that's been here over the course of the last couple weeks. And yes, we ran into some floundering locks over the course of the last month, but we steadied the ship over the weekend. We have found ways to get back on track, and that's just putting in the work here. And I promise to be putting in the work along with these analysts every single Sunday through, well, I will be doing some Saturdays too, but Sunday through Friday, I will for sure have that betting card for you every single time. Consistent every single day since we started that process back in July or August of last season it was. I will be there. I will be hands-on with you every single day. So come enjoy that. Come check out BetMGM while you're at it too. So you get the 2 free months when you get it, but you also get a free bet up to $1,000 when that first bet loses. So there you go. It's going to be a bonus bet that's added into your account if that first bet loses. So deposit $20, bet $20. Well, if it loses, you're going to get $20 back in bonus bets. That's the better way I could have explained that, but all the way up to $1,000. You could bet $100, $200, $500, or up to $1,000. And if that first bet loses, you're getting it back in bonus bets. That is a great deal, friends. Nothing that you can't enjoy over at BetMGM that isn't available at other books. You have so many great lines, whether it's total bases, home run props, so many places to take advantage of the best numbers in the industry. And a lot of those exist over at BetMGM. Only take advantage of this if you're 21 and over. And if you have a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Alrighty, y'all. That does it for BetMGM for today. Let's get back to the picks. We got the Padres. We got the Marlins. And I got to do a live look in here. Got to do a live look in. It is 4-4, and I'm a broken person. I'm dead inside. Awesome. Bottom 7. Thanks. Well, whatever. We're going to run back a bet here. Not the same one because, well, apparently unders are just dead to the world today. That's cool. Whatever. Everybody likes overs anyway. Blake Snell on the mound going up against Braxton Garrett. The battle of the Southpaws. And weird to say, Braxton Garrett and Blake Snell, they kind of are the Spider-Man meme. And I know Blake Snell has all the name recognition, but I'm serious. They've been about the same pitcher this season, and that's terrifying. 47.3% hard hit percentage is a little bit higher than Blake Snell's 42.1%, but get this. Blake Snell, higher xWOBA at 372 compared to Braxton Garrett's 357. Nearly identical expected sluggings. We're talking 489 for Snell, 491 for Braxton Garrett. And the K rates, 22.6% for Braxton Garrett, sitting next to 23.9% for Blake Snell. That is wild to think that Braxton Garrett's almost as good as Blake Snell, or basically as good as Blake Snell at this point in time. And that leads me, my friends, to this next thing. Well, yes, there's no doubt about it. Do I think San Diego is a better baseball team than Miami? Yes, I do. But there is value, and value is going to be the name of the game as we're moving our way downtown, walking fast, faces Hassan homebound, shout out Vanessa Carlton, but we're getting plus 112 at FanDuel Sportsbook to be backing Miami on the money line in a near pick'em type situation. And I don't know if you noticed, but Jorge Soler is a Dragon Slayer. Yeah, Halo Slayer. A little bit of that. Killing spree. I tried. I did not do the voiceover of those video games. I think you could tell. But Miami money line, that is going to be a thumbs up like it situation at that kind of a number because Jorge Soler is over 300 WRC plus against left-handed pitching. He's going to probably go yard 2. You could think about coupling that with it. But Miami money line, I like it. We move on. I don't really have a lot from this one, which is weird because it's going to be a fun baseball game. And I know you DFS people can definitely be taking advantage of this one. I just don't know what to make of Julio Teheran's first start there with the Milwaukee Brewers going up against Alek Manoah, who I do know what to make of him. He's been disappointing. Probably, well, I don't know, probably the most disappointing pitcher compared to expectations in all of baseball. He's up there. I'm trying to think of somebody worse. They have to be on the Cardinals, right? Not Jack Flaherty, but Miles Michaelis, he probably goes in that bucket. But Alek Manoah, 385 xWOBA, 15% walk rate, 18% K rate. What are we even doing here, dude? You were supposed to be the chosen one. That was an Obi-Wan to Darth Vader. Man, what are we doing here on this show today? Julio Teheran, though, on the other side of this one, I know what he's doing here on the show. Well, he used to have great stuff once upon a time, wore that Atlanta Braves uniform proudly and did some good stuff from time to time, but it's been a hot second. Bounced around, 5 innings pitched, 4 hits. Well, was decent against San Francisco, but you know who's going to be decent against San Francisco? Well, a lot of dudes. So it is what it is. He had a 5.63 ERA, 1.6 whip though in AAA El Paso, but I repeat, PCL. How many times can I bring up the PCL? It is impossible for me to look at anything, especially in El Paso, where the ball is flying out of a tiny little ballpark, knowing that Julio Teheran now gets to pitch here. Well, Toronto is a really good lineup, and that's what I'm getting at. I don't know. I think the range of outcomes is very, very wide for how Julio Teheran does in this game, and that's leaning me towards the over of 9.5, because I think I'm more inclined to say him and Alek Manoah are just bad than I am to say that, like, Julio Teheran's going to be good again. So is what it is. But I don't want to be looking at his AAA numbers at El Paso and read anything into it. So it is what it is. We continue on, my friends. And that was when he was with the Padres, of course. Just wanted to throw that out there because now he's with the Brewers. They don't have a PCL team, but you don't care about that. You just care about the picks. Over 9.5. That is a lean, though. Not on the card as of yet, but maybe we get some value here. I doubt people are going to be betting that down and making it in an under. So probably just stays off the card. Over 9.5 if you must. 5 games to go. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell as we ring the bell for our first lock of the day. It's the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Boston Red Sox. The Boston Red Sox. And what a hangover feeling it must be there in Boston. No, I'm not making fun of you, producer Jacob. You're a good human being, a good, kind gentleman, even though 90% of Boston's Celtics fans, I do not feel bad for it today. just is what it is. Luke Weaver on the mound here going for Cincinnati, going up against James Paxton. And well, Paxton used to pack a punch, and Paxton doesn't pack a punch anymore with a 40% hard hit percentage, of 505 expected slugging. Nice 31.7% K rate. He once upon a time used to be able to do that in Seattle. Didn't really have the stuff in New York, is what it is. Sometimes you go to the Big Apple and it takes a bite out of you. My analogies suck today. 5.54 expected ERA coming off of, last year didn't play because 2022 and Tommy John and all this stuff. He had all of 24 pitches with the Yankees there in 2021. Tough break, 2020. But hey, if he stays healthy, well, I think he's still going to be running into some issues in the old walk department. But nice to see the strikeouts there at least. But how about a 501 ex-Wobicon, which, just trust me, that is a horrendous number. So don't need to know what it is. Just know that flat out I hate it. And it makes me question everything, as does what's going on with Luke Weaver here. And I think that this is a pretty fascinating spot to be taking a deep dive into him. Coming off of his last start, he mowed down St. Louis, 6 1/3, 6 strikeouts, but the fly balls were still there. In 86 pitches, I think he got pretty lucky in terms of BABIP. And Luke Weaver, he used to be another pitcher, just like James Paxton, who used to have stuff. I mean, he's a righty and different kind of pitch repertoire, and didn't have the ceiling of a James Paxton, I don't think, but primarily a fastball thrower as well, throwing in that changeup a lot more than a James Paxton would. And well, nothing really looks that great in terms of the pitch mix. You've seen the velocity come down nearly a mile per hour on the fastball from last year to this year. You've seen the whiff percentage go way down on the fastball. And then, well, the changeup's been pretty decent this season, but I think unsustainably so. He's got a 43.4% whiff percentage, despite a changeup. I mean, a changeup doesn't have to spin a lot. That's kind of the whole point. But a 179 expected batting average is not something I expect to continue, especially, well, he's going to be facing some good lefties here. Now, Verdugo was out of the lineup there on Tuesday. We're going to have to be paying attention to him. I think he'll be back in. I think it was just like a maintenance day for him on Tuesday. He should be back in that lineup here on Wednesday, and that creates Verdugo, Yoshida, Duran, Devers, Valdez, all these guys. Cassis will probably be playing first in that spot. Pretty great situation for these lefties going up against Luke Weaver. And why? Well, the changeup, not really a pitch that he can get a lot of lefties out with. He's throwing it equal opportunity to both sides. It used to be a pitch he threw to lefties quite a bit, but it's been less successful against them. So, well, if you can't get to that one primary pitch and have a ton of success with it against some of these lefties, I think you're looking at runs on both sides of it. And yes, James Paxton, he gets a pretty good matchup here going up against Cincinnati, but Cincinnati overall, a 101 WRC plus against left-handed pitching. It's league average, basically. Gotta say, I'm just obsessed with the over of 10 here. My favorite play on the day, period. End of story. The over of 10 in Fenway. Yeah, they're gonna, well, I don't know. They're gonna do something. They're upset in Boston. They're gonna, let's start a riot. Gonna be good stuff. Over 10, lock it in. Well, we go from fun to a lot less fun here in this one for me. It's a great pitcher in Aaron Nola on the mound, going up against, well, Carlos Carrasco, who, well, I cheer for him. I bring it up all the time, cancer survivor, and the Liam Hendricks thing. If you didn't see it already, go back and watch it. Gave me chills. Even amongst the Game 7 yesterday and the Miami Heat having a fun, surprising story, the best story in sports was Liam Hendricks coming out for that 8th inning. Standing ovation, both sides of it. His fans going nuts. Just one of the best feel-good things you could possibly see in your life. But Carlos Carrasco, I feel bad for him this season. 13.3% K rate, 6.75 ERA, definitely deserved, and well, he's just not very good anymore. It's a bummer. I will still cheer for him, but not really here, and well, I don't really have a dog in the fight here in this spot. Aaron Nola, I'd call him a little bit disappointing still this season with a 433 expected slugging and 21.7% K rate, but he's still finding ways to find success. The walk rate, routinely low, 5.4%. Still at 3.96 expected ERA. So while that's not elite and definitely not on the kind of numbers we expect to see from him, he's still found ways to be okay for this Philadelphia Phillies team. And well, he's just 29. I don't think anything's going to fall off a cliff anytime shortly. He's just got to get that curveball back to doing what it does. And, well, it's been his primary pitch this season because it just induces a lot of misses. And if you're somebody who can hit the zone in general and paint it, might as well throw the thing that's spinning a ton. Or he's never had crazy velocity. In fact, the mile per hour down in his fastball velocity from 92.8 to 91.8 so far this season. Lots of reasons, and that's probably the top one why you're starting to see him get hit a little bit more frequently. But I'm looking at Philadelphia -1.5 is the only thing I'm even entertaining here. It's -120 over at FanDuel Sportsbook, current best available line at a book I have access to. I know Bet Rivers, they also have it listed at this identical number, but I think if I did anything, it would just be a Carlos Carrasco shelling, trying to take advantage of it. We're starting to see this Mets offense come to life, though. I think it's just a stay away spot in general. So yeah, maybe chase the plus money here, but Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, ended up going yard here. And hey, how about Francisco Alvarez? We'll talk about him at a different date, but already up to 8 homers here in a pretty short season. He's solidified a job there in old New York for him. Pretty wild output there from the old left, or well, I guess he's a righty. Sorry, I lied to everybody there. Let's just move on. Philadelphia -1.5, just a lean. This is a lean too, but I'm just curious how many times we can take one play and just ride it into the sunset over and over. We hit it the other day. Hopefully we hit it here on Tuesday, but it's the Minnesota Twins and the Houston Astros. Louis Varland going up against Hunter Brown, and both of these pitchers, I mean, Hunter Brown doesn't really surprise me. I think the Louis Varland thing really surprises me, that he's been actually serviceable, mainly because I don't find him to be very good, and I don't think anything he really does is all that encouraging at the big league level. And I'm a little bit harsh. I'm a harsh critic of my Minnesota Twins, but we have Pablo Lopez going nuts, Sonny Gray going completely nuts. We have Joe Ryan going completely nuts. We have a lot of starting pitching going completely nuts. So Louis Varland, definitely the black sheep amongst everybody. A .513 expected slugging, .351 xWOBA, and a 43.6% hard hit percentage. I don't expect the results to continue. The 4.24 ERA, I expect to trail up even a little bit. We'll see. I'm cheering for him. I'm obviously a fan of the Minnesota Twins, but not necessarily a fan of his pitch mix. Although, got to see his brother pitch for Milwaukee in AAA this season, and his family. Very nice. I'll share that story on a different date. However, Hunter Brown, we're definitely looking at here for the Houston Astros as a stud, and yet I'm not going to miss a day here of Alex Kirilloff at these kind of numbers. I'm just not. We don't have those numbers here, but based on what they were today, and knowing Hunter Brown is a well-regarded pitcher, well, I'm going to just keep targeting home runs and over total bases for Alex Kirilloff. This is probably going to end up opening at 0.5. I might need to find an alternate 1.5 or the 2+ total bases, which you can find at FanDuel Sportsbook. Yeah. If you have any questions about the way that I go about targeting these things or alternate lines, yes, sometimes you have to do same game parlays on BetMGM, single game parlays, SGPs over on DraftKings. They all have the different names. They're all doing the same thing. And I'm trying not to correlate too much with just money lines or things of that nature, because as you positively correlate, you're not always getting the best return back from the books. So you're actually giving them more money in the long run than you should be. So it depends. You have to do some of those calculations on your own. And hey, we got the tools to help you out with the parlay calculator over at OddsShopper. If you ever have any questions, hit me up on Twitter at Eric Lindquist. But Alex Kirilloff, we're going back to the well on a dude who I just expect to start hitting a lot better than what he has been. He's been moved up to the top of the order here. He's led off. He's batted 4th like he's going to be doing here for foreseeable future. We've got Royce Lewis back in the mix. Hey, that's going to be fun stuff too. Nice to have him along for the ride. But Alex Kirilloff, sub 35% hard hit percentage for a guy who just smashed the baseball at AAA. Does pretty much every single time he goes back down there. 379 expected slugging. Positive regression is coming, friends. Be early to the party. Continue betting Alex Kirilloff like it's the last chopper out of whatever godforsaken island you're trying to escape. We haven't had one of these in a while, and, well, when they show up in the old spreadsheet, well, I get a little bit nervous to talk about because I'm going to get people calling me stupid. I know it's going to happen. Eric, the Colorado Rockies suck. Yeah, they do. Eric, I don't want to bet the Colorado Rockies. You think I do? Surely I don't. But we got Tommy Henry on the mound going up against Danilson Lamet. And let's start with Tommy Henry here because he's more of the known quantity. We've seen him a couple of times this season already. So far, 7 games he's pitched, 6 starts, 4.50 ERA, 1.38 whip, and really nothing that looks all that scary to me in terms of pitch mix. He's given up 5 homers in his last 4 starts, so the long ball's a little bit of an issue. And yes, Colorado does have some serviceable righties. It's Missing one very noticeable one in CJ Cron, who's been on the IL. Would like to see him back in order, but it sounds like he's going to be taking swings. Sounds like he could be back soon, which doesn't really mean shit for Wednesday. So it is what it is. But we still have Chris Bryant. We still have Jurickson Profar. We have Randall Grichuk. We got O'Doyle rules. Nobody liked that. I bet you did. I got a feeling you and your whole family are going down O'Doyle. But anyway, we've got Arizona Tommy Henry on the mound. But let's go through Dinelson Lamet, because this, my friends, is an absolute crazy situation we could be running into here. Let's go through it. He got put onto the injured reserve, and he was broken when he did. But he was basically just in a bullpen type situation. They were giving him pitches here, pitches there. Sounds as though he's been moved back into a starting role, which is where we had seen him with San Diego. He had 63 pitches in his last AAA outing, and overall, he was awesome in those 3 stints. A .84 ERA, .66 whip, and once again, PCL is what it is, friends. If you can be pulling it off there, you can probably take that on the road with you when you get outside of Albuquerque, where it is really hard to keep people inside of that ballpark. Yes, even AAA hitters, because you're playing baseball on the moon, basically. But Dinelson Lamet is such a wild card in this spot that I have to be rolling the dice here on it. I just have to, because the number just dictates that we do, and in a pretty prominent way. Plus 167. Now, this number is plus 150 at FanDuel and DraftKings, so you've got to find these numbers. 158 is available over at Caesars Sportsbook. Even that falls into the near lock category. So if you can find better than plus 160 tomorrow, or better than plus 155, that is going to be a lock. Right around that plus 160, 165 mark for the money line. I'm all right firing it up here, and it's hard to really even cite all of the WRC pluses for Colorado here. One, because CJ Cron is absent from this lineup. But overall, this is just a value spot. They are the worst team in baseball, the Colorado Rockies are, against left-handed pitching this season. 68 WRC plus is just egregious. But still, I think Dinelson Lamet could come out, surprise people. And I am willing to roll the dice in a pretty prominent way at these kind of numbers. I expect negative regression for Arizona's lineup going forward. Maybe not entirely here, and maybe Lamet just comes out and gets shelled, and I'm very, very wrong. But I'm willing to roll it because I think this line is way off. There's some discrepancy between the books, and I generally love chaos. So, Colorado, you heard me. Lock it up for Wednesday? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, we're doing it. We're locking it pretty hard. Here we go. Yeah. I'm uncomfortable too. Our last game of the night, we pull into the train station at Seattle, where I've been told, Eric, you always have a play from Seattle. Well, guess what? I have a play from this game again. That just seems to be the way that it works. We got George Kirby on the mound with some improved stuff to the pitch mix. I've been harsh critic of his, even though I know he's a well-regarded prospect. He's been good. I just want him to be better. And Clark Schmidt here as well. Ooh, 5.58 ERA, 1.60 whip. Those aren't the kind of numbers you want to be coming into Seattle with. However, he's definitely a well-touted guy coming into, well, he's expected to be one of the guys that New York relied upon this season. That has not really been the case. He gets a good ballpark upgrade. Seattle hasn't exactly been setting the world on fire. They've not burned brighter. I don't know where that one came from. Then the sun had to finish it. George Kirby, though, on the other side, that 3.43 ERA, some interesting numbers in terms of StatCast data as well, because he's made some improved adjustments, if you will, over the course of this season, and I'm taking note of it. Still not going to be striking out batters. His stuff still doesn't wow me, but that's okay with a 284 xWOB and a 35% hard hit percentage, as long as that barrel percentage sits at 5.1% and he avoids some of the hard contact. I'm just fine with him having contact thrown at him. And, well, it's going to be scary against better lineups, but, well, hard to run into some better batters than you've gotten, like Aaron Judge on the other side, MVP Aaron Judge. Just the rest of this Yankees lineup, especially with Rizzo, I don't know what his status is going to be. He's out of the lineup here on Tuesday. Maybe he gets back on Wednesday. You know how many times he's been on my betting card this season. Would be a huge upgrade to have him out of this lineup. So a little bit of work put on your shoulders here, but at minus 135 currently on the money line, I like Seattle as a play in the late night hammer. Think it's a decent enough spot to be targeting it. So pay attention to that Rizzo news. If he's in though, probably don't want to be playing this one at that number. Yeah, he's that important of a batter. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. You know what to do. Go to that comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays on Wednesday's slate. We went long on this one. We fired off every nook and cranny of this slate. And hey, if you have any more questions, you know what to do. Follow me at Eric Lindquist. Hit me up with your questions. I promise I will get back to you as long as I see it, because sometimes doesn't always pop up right away, and that's annoying, and that's a whole thing. Easy way to avoid that, go to the premium Discord where I can guarantee you that I will see your questions. You can DM me, you can fire it up there, and the best way to do that is signing up at BetMGM. So get a great sportsbook promotion, get that up to $1,000 back in bonus bets when your first bet loses. If your first bet loses, if it wins, congratulations, you have money in your pocket. But then 2 free months of premium Discord. Yes, use promo code OSInsider. Take advantage of that right now. Alrighty, y'all. I'll be back on Thursday. A little bit more of a muted slate that we have for that one. And then NBA Lindy's coming up for NBA Finals Game 1. It's finally here. Denver and Miami. Is that going to be on NBA TV? I don't know. Until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the MLB streets on Wednesday.